Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast with your host, Brett Bovin. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Bovin. Each week we do a live show Monday through Wednesday, and we bring on a new guest and we learn what it's like to try and find the best hotel closest near you. And we learn the good prices and anything that's close near you. So we like to get their opinion on it. No, I'm just kidding. This is the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Bovin. The Deucer is not with me tonight, so it's kind of sad. He's got some other stuff going on, so we're looking forward when he gets back. Anyways, if this is your first time tuning in, thank you for tuning into the show. Where have you been this entire time? Come on. It's a fun show. Laid back here. Anyways, like I said, if this is your first time tuning in, each week we cover a new state. We dedicate 3 days out of the week, Monday through Wednesday, doing a live show at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And each of those days we bring on a new guest and we pick their brain of what makes them successful out there in that state. And we learn what's kind of going on in the hunting world out there in that state as well. So it's nice to kind of educate on a whole bunch of aspects of it out there. I do ask, though, as the listener or the audience, that you help share the show by putting your quarter in the slot machine. And like I said, it just helps share the show. If you can get us one new friend, we appreciate it. I do believe that hunting is a dying sport, a dying lifestyle. I know here in Michigan, the numbers are steadily declining every year. So we're trying to help spread the word of hunting. It's an amazing lifestyle. It's a very rewarding lifestyle if you put in the work. And hunting has been very challenging for myself, but it's also been very rewarding. And I love the experiences. Hunting it's not just about putting your tag on a deer. It's about the memories, sharing with your family members and your friends. Anyways, enough of my spiel. We are, like I said, we are partnered. We are a part of the pro staff with Gilly Puck. So let's give them a quick shout out here with a quick ad. Tonight is episode 68. It's the last day in Maryland for us. It's May 15th, and we have an awesome guest tonight, and we have a reoccurring guest on for tonight as well. So we'll get to him here in a second. But first, let's introduce our guest for the night, Josh.
Hey, how you doing, Brett?
Hey, I'm doing good, brother. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
For everyone that doesn't know you, can you give a little background about yourself?
Just easiest way to describe myself is by day, I'm a HVAC tech supervisor. That's how I pay the bills. It's something I have to do. But any other time that I'm not doing that, I'm hunting, fishing, boating, doing anything outside. I also run a company called Yellow Dog Outfitters. We improve hunting properties, we trap, we do anything to help improve our clients' property. So that's, in a nutshell, that's pretty much me. I'm just a Maryland boy doing everything I can up and down the East Coast of Maryland.
Nice. How long have you been hunting and how long have you been doing your business there?
True. So I've been hunting, well, it started, as weird as it may sound, it started before I was even born. My mother, when she was pregnant with me, shot her last deer I think she was 7, 8 months pregnant with me. But
That's
after
dedication.
that, oh yeah, she as the story goes, that was back before ladder stands and all that. That was homemade wooden stands. My old man built a stand in it was a 3 trunk tree, and I guess she got stuck going up the tree. So
Really?
yeah, yeah, I've heard that story a couple hundred times growing up. So, I think that's probably what messed me up in the head so much as far as. But no, I mean, I've been doing it as long as I can remember. I remember vaguely being in a tree stand with my old man that I had. I guess it was a Game Boy or something like that. Just playing there, watching him deer hunt. Um, and he tells stories all the time, and we used to have walkie talkies. He'd hunt behind our old house. I'd just whisper into the walkie talkie and talk to him the whole time. I mean, as far as I can remember, I've been hunting or doing something outdoors. It's been a big part of our family as long as I can remember.
What was it like communicating through the walkie-talkie?
Well, that brings up a good story. So sometimes my old man forgot that the walkie-talkie was on, and I was always taught to whisper in it. So the one day he's hunting, it was dead quiet. You could hear a branch break. You think something's coming, you listen real close, and all I heard was, "Dad, Dad," and apparently it scared him, and he jumped. So I don't remember that much of it. He remembers it a lot more than I do. But like I said, I just wanted to know everything about it. I remember staying up late as I could, waiting for him to get back so he could tell me the stories of whatever hunts they were. I could see what was ever in the bed of the truck. I mean, I didn't care if it was rabbits, geese, ducks, deer, turkeys. It didn't matter. I wanted to see it all. I just wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when my dad was hunting before I could get into it, and I'd always stand at the sliding glass door, just my face
Uh,
pressed up against it. I'm like, "Is dad coming home? It's dark out. Where's he at?" And I just rushed to him, like, "Did you see anything?" He's like, "No." And then I just wait for that time where he says, "Yeah, I got a deer," and we'd all go tracking together. And now it's kind of been my mom would always track with my dad, and now every time when my dad gets a deer or I get a deer, my mom's coming along, and now my wife and kids come along with us. And when I text my mom, first I'll call my wife saying I got a deer. So I tell her, "You gotta come to the house now."
yeah.
And then I'll tell my mom that I got a deer. She's, "All right, let's get ready to track." I said, "There's no need to track. I see him dead. He's 50 yards away from me." She gets pissed because
Oh
that's her
yeah.
favorite thing to do because she did all the time dating and married with my dad. And
Right.
now she's like, "All right, I still want to go track with you guys." Now when I tell her we don't need to go tracking that far, I see him right there. Those times really piss her off.
Oh, I'm sure. I think that's the one thing I miss the most because obviously I'm older now. I still hunt with my dad. I try to go out as much, but we hunt a lot apart. So when I'm not at one of the farms with him when he shoots something, it's like I'm super excited, but it's like like I wish I was there. Like I want to be there. I want to be a
Right.
part of it. And same thing when I shot uh I won't go too much into it. I shot a big 6 pointer that we've been chasing for 5 years. And luckily enough, one of my best friends was with me, but I was like, man, I would have done anything for my old man just seeing it. I mean, I told him the story 100 times. I'm sure he's tired of hearing it, but it's like, I just wish he was there to track that deer. It meant so much. And it's just a part of it, just a little part of it was missing without him there.
Why wasn't he there? Did he pass?
He was at work or something. I think
Oh,
I got sick at work that day and had to leave early, but
yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, he wasn't there. He was tied up doing his own thing, but
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
he heard the story very shortly after. I think he was. I called my fiance, and then I'm pretty sure he was the second call, still crying and hooting and hollering, making all sorts of ruckus.
Have you ever gotten a deer and you looked at your dad and he's more pumped up than you are?
Oh, absolutely. Um, so I had actually the big one right
Oh,
there.
wow.
He was so it was late goose season, late muzzleloader. I got there and they were tearing up the geese. I'm like, I've killed enough geese this year. I want to go deer hunting. Like it's the last day of muzzleloader. whatever. So I went to the other side of the farm. I could just hear them banging away. They got the whole group. They're having a good time. And I'm just hunting the field. I hear a muzzleloader go off on the other side of the farm. It was another guy that hunted the farm. We have the common thing with Maryland is too many people hunt the same property, but that's a different story. Anyway, he shot 2 times. I was like, that's kind of weird. I knew who it was. He usually doesn't miss. He usually doesn't shoot twice. Didn't think anything of it, kept hunting. It started to get dark in the woods, so I snuck out to the field. And I'm coming over the hill, and I see this doe, so I kind of get down. And then I look behind the doe, and I see that coming through the field behind her. I was like, oh, crap. I start belly crawling in position. I can feel my phone in my chest pocket, just feel it vibrating. And it just kept going off. No one ever calls me. Like, if besides my phone doesn't ring. So I silence it. I keep crawling. It starts vibrating again. Like, what the hell? So I hit off, keep crawling, goes off again. Finally, I have some tall grass. So I look at it. It's my old man. I said, what? He said, there's a giant buck out in your field. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Click, put it back in my pocket. And he was on the main road watching through binoculars with one of my best buddies and one of my dad's friends. And I pull up, I let the smoke roll, I drop him on the spot. I didn't realize how close he was. I could hear his truck bottom out coming off the main road into the field, hauling ass towards me. He watched the whole thing go down. My best friend tackled me. I had my gun on my back. He about broke my spine. I couldn't walk the whole next day. And I remember my old man ripping me up. And that was probably the most excited I've ever seen someone for a deer I shot. I mean, I get excited. I black out. It's a shit show. But I mean, that was probably the most excited I've ever seen someone for me.
Yeah. I I remember when I shot my deer fish hook a couple years ago, and first off, I'll make it quick. He texted me saying you got a yearling doe coming your way with some small bucks. So I said, okay, I put my phone away. Small ones come away. I look at my phone, and as I'm putting my phone away, I feel it vibrate because I hear more coming. And it's a giant buck, and I end up seeing it. And I was like, oh, that's that deer fish hook I've been after this entire year. Shot him. He went 5 yards and died right there. So I call him because he's like 300 yards to the west of me. I said, hey, I shot that deer. He goes, no, you didn't. I said, yeah, I'm looking right at him. He's like, are you sure you dead? Are you sure he's dead? I said, yeah, I'm looking right at him. He ain't breathing. He ain't moving. So he's all right, I'll be right there. We get over there, and it was probably like, to give a score-wise, probably around the 145.
Nice.
And we get up to it, and he's like, and excuse my French, but I don't care. He's like, oh, fuck yeah. And he's just like, he threw his bow down, and he's just like hyped up, none other. And I was like, I can barely stand. How are you more excited than me? And I'm the one that shot it.
Right. I mean, I think that's the coolest part. I've seen a bunch of my buddies' dads that hunt. It's just a common trend is they're usually more excited for their kids than anything. I mean, that's kind of why we do it. I mean, I'm not lucky enough to have kids yet. After June 1st, I'll work on that. But I mean, that's what it's all about. I took one of my best friends, got him on a turkey after a 3-year dry spell. Seeing him in tears, I mean, I'm an emotional guy when it comes to hunting as is. It about brought me to tears, and I mean, that was better than any hunt I've had. I mean, it's something different. I can only imagine if that was my son. I mean, I raised him like one, but I mean, I can't even imagine that feeling. I look forward to it, but
yeah, I got a 4-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son now, and I'm looking forward to that day when they get their deer. And I found out my mom pulled me aside one day, and she said, I talked to your dad, and he told me a story. He had an opportunity of shooting that deer, but he didn't pull the trigger because he just didn't. If he moved, he was scared that he would, because he kept staring at my dad. So he had an opportunity on him first, and he just kind of let him go. Come to find out, my mom said there was an opportunity. Your dad told me that he could have probably taken that deer, but he said he would have feel bad if knowing that you could have had him. And obviously I did. He said, so I was like, I'd do that for my own son or daughter.
oh, absolutely. We would do anything for our family. And I mean, I know my old man that there's been a few turkeys that I've watched the bird go right by and come to me. I'm like, why didn't you shoot? He's going to you. Like, you had a shot. Like, why did that's the cool thing about hunting for me is just seeing that, just the excitement of seeing others win and seeing others do well in the sport. And if it's your kid, if it's your friend, I mean, the common trend is I'm happy to see any of my hunting friends. My fiance, she shot her first deer. I was definitely more excited. I about shook her out of the tree stand. Um, it's just a cool feeling that community is so close with each other when someone harvests an animal, kills their first duck, kills a big buck, whatever it may be.
Yeah, and I think you see the joy and the excitement in their face, and it makes you just feel I feel what they're feeling, and it's just awesome to see that they finally have that feeling in them.
Absolutely.
Well, Don's kind of been moving around a lot down there. I see he's getting a little anxious. He's kind of excited to come on the show. He's the reoccurring guest. He's been texting me wanting to come on the show again, and I'm excited to get him on. He's excited to pick Josh's brain. So let's introduce Don here tonight. Hey, Don.
What's going on, guys?
Let's go.
Don, for anyone that doesn't know you, can give a quick background about yourself. I know we've had you on before.
Yeah, Kentucky, Northwest Kentucky, right at basically the Ohio River area. I love watching your show, and I love listening to you talk to guys in different states. And the reason I was really wanting to come back on, I would love to come on anytime because I love to pick some of these guys' brains about different states, and I just think it's so interesting how they kill deer, and I'd like to kind of ask them some questions too. Maybe something you miss, or I would like to know.
Oh, of course. Anyone that's been on the show or no one that's been on the show yet. It's an open door here. So I'm never going to tell no, you can't come on the show. But if I have a guest come on, I do like to give them the opportunities. It's their show. But
yeah, I want to give all the credit. You take the show on. I would like to pick your brain here and there.
Of course. Well, Don, whenever you have a question, just shoot it out. Let's start off with Josh. What is your hunting style out there in Maryland? What's it like hunting out there?
See, I kind of figured that question was going to come up, and it's kind of hard to break that down. I only know hunting Maryland as far as deer. I turkey hunt all over, but as far as deer, you have really three different types of hunting in Maryland. You got your Western Maryland's, your mountains deer, just straight cliffs. It's usually smaller body deer. You still have some big deer, but a lot smaller. You're dealing with bears, more coyotes, and all that. You go down to where I'm at, it's more horse farmland, kind of your ag country. A lot bigger of deer most times. And then you go down south, and we were talking a little bit before the show, like the Sika deer. You get the Sika deer and the whitetails down south in the marshes. Around here, we spend more time than anything kind of hunting the funnels, kind of hunting food plots, food sources, your typical food to bed transition. Most
Is that
of your
in
food,
all seasons, or early season and late season both?
so late season and early season, you're focusing more on your food. Early season around where I'm at, so we live on a horse farm. I'm focusing on these pastures. These deer have these giant wide open pastures. I'm sure it's kind of similar to certain parts of Kentucky. I don't know all of Kentucky. You have a lot of pastures. You got the clover coming up, alfalfa, whatever it may be. You got the hay fields. We take advantage of those. They're used to feeding those with the horses, at least where I'm thinking of just this property. That's a big food source here. We get over to the farm country, you got your typical soybeans, corn. Well, of course, we got the acorns, but it seems like they focus more, at least where I hunt my farms, on that ag. That ag is really big for them.
Gotcha.
And are you private or public, or do you kind of just stick to one?
So I do more private than anything. What we've really focused on the last couple years, if we notice, is we like to hunt a lot. During season, before daylight savings, I'm hunting 6, 7 days a week. Yeah, so it's easy to burn out your private spot. I mean, you can have the best conditions, best exit, best entrance. You're still leaving a little bit of scent behind. There's still that little bit of play in it, but those deer are going to pick up on you eventually. So what we focused on the last couple of years, if the conditions aren't right for whatever that given area is, if there's not a deer that we actually want to chase, if there's not a spot we want to go take out some does for the farmers, I'll run the public. I'll grab my saddle. I'll run the public. I'll hunt. We're very lucky. We have public all around us, and I'll hit that if the conditions are. I'd rather burn out some public spots that I know everybody else and their brother's going to be than my spots that I put food plots in, box stands, and really manicure to make them the best.
I had Edgar on the show last night, and one thing that I've kind of been thinking about the last couple of years, because it's scent control, it's a major thing in hunting, obviously. And I've been talking with my dad about it. It's something we've kind of been wanting to do. And I thought of the idea of, and the only reason I started thinking about it more was because I live in a neighborhood. So deer are constantly around people all the time, so they're not as jumpy or skittish. I thought of the idea of taking one of my T-shirts that I use for hunting and just throwing it up in my tree stand and letting my scent kind of be out there so they get used to it. And I'll go walk there's like this one big main trail. It's a giant circle in the main part of the property. I'll walk it like twice a month, I'm thinking, along with my T-shirt in the stand. My reason thinking behind that is because I think if the deer get used to that scent, and when I do eventually go out there, they get used to it, and they're not going to be, oh, what's that new smell? I don't like it, and they can kind of pinpoint kind of where it's coming from, and then I don't have to worry. I can kind of get away with a bad wind.
Right.
Brett,
So-
that could kind of be something similar to like the smoke and stuff from people's fireplaces. You hear people all the time putting their hunting clothes in like a smoke environment from like a wood burner, because whenever they burn like late in the winter, like late season, like he was talking about, almost everyone has some sort of a fire source or something, and deer are kind of used to that. So that could possibly work, really.
Yeah,
Josh,
I
what's your
agree
opinion on
with
that?
you. I agree with that 100%. But
Yeah.
you also, when you do that, you have to pay attention to where that scent's really coming from. So that makes sense if you're hunting like the outskirts, a transition, or something like that. But my thought process, just because I've seen it before, it brings me back to one of the neighborhoods I used to hunt up the road a ways. I would mow grass for a lady, jump right in the stand. I know that deer smelled me mowing that grass, but it seemed to react. They reacted different for if they could smell me in the yard versus they could smell me on the edge of a bedding area. Now that could just be that area. It could be different from area to area, but I think where that scent's coming from makes a big difference as well.
Yeah. And the only reason, like I said, I thought about it more and more, and I read this study from Wisconsin, and I mentioned it on last night's show, was a deer's scent receptors are just like 1,000 more than a German Shepherd. So it's just barely better than a German Shepherd's. And they took this canine police dog, and they had this guy that used no scent control, and they made him go 100 yards out into the woods. Dog found him within like 10 seconds, whatever. They did the same guy or different guy, whatever, and had him do shower, scent control, spraying, and everything. Found him in like 7 seconds. So if a deer's nose is not just barely better than a German Shepherd's, then I just kind of been putting little pieces of the puzzle together. It's something that I've really wanted to try.
Right.
And I'm always willing to try something new and innovative, and I haven't heard a lot of people doing it. It's something it could come bite me in the ass. It could turn out to be a positive thing. You just never know, and I'm willing to try something different.
Sounds like a good YouTube video. Somebody needs to really put one together like that. That would really be good.
Yeah.
It's something I want to do. Like I'm not going to just do it for 1 year. I want to give it at least 3 to 5 years to kind of see the transition of it over time. But
Yeah.
it's something I kind of want to do.
It's definitely worth a try. I mean, you don't know till you try. That's for sure.
Right. So Josh, with you're out there in Maryland, what is the hunting seasons for like bow to gun? When's it like start to end?
Yeah, so we start our season usually September 8th to September 15th area, right around in there. That's when archery starts. That'll run till October. We have a few days of muzzleloader come in. Probably the last 2 weeks. It's only 3 days. I believe it's the third week in October. So right around when you start seeing that pre-rut, you still have some early season transitions from soybeans that they're still green. So you have early muzzleloader. Bow stays in throughout that. Then you go into early November is all bow. I believe it's the Saturday after Thanksgiving our gun season starts. That runs about 2 weeks, I believe. After that, bow comes back in for a little bit, and then you get a few little short gun muzzleloader seasons mixed in, and then your final 3 days of muzzleloader, and then our bow will run until January 31st.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we have a 2-day traditional season, flintlock, longbow, recurve that comes in after January 31st.
So after that point, you can hunt with old school type styles.
Oh yeah, yep. Recurves, flintlocks, longbows, all of that. Not many people take advantage of it. I think I've only killed one during those seasons, but it is pretty cool. I love hunting with a recurve. I haven't done it as much in recent years just because I know I'm not the best shot. 15 yards and in, I can make it happen, but I'm not as deadly as I am with a compound.
That's tough. That's tough hunting 15 yards and in, no doubt.
Yeah. The biggest buck I've killed with my recurve, I shot 4 or 5 yards off the ground. I mean, that was
wow.
I don't even know if I had my eyes open during the shot, to be honest. But yeah, I had it all videoed, and I had the camera set up for the trail he's walking in, and he just walked in a little too close, and I just barely missed the shot off camera.
Now, I found out yesterday that, no, it was Monday when I was talking to Michael, that if you can only shoot a buck with a bow, and then after that, you can only shoot another one with a gun, but you can buy a extra archery stamp type tag.
So you can buy a bonus tag, which will allow you to shoot an additional one with a bow. I believe you can use it. I'd have to double check. I usually use my bonus tag for archery. I'd rather archery hunt than anything. Yeah. I believe you can use it for gun and muzzler as well, but I'm not. I'd have to double check that.
Now, if you shoot a bow, let me take that back. If you shoot a deer with your bow and you wanted to do the recurve at the end of the year, you can only hunt with the recurve, or is there like a...
So I could hunt if I shoot one, say like this year I shot one early season with my bonus tag. Any other part of that season, I can still use that. So technically, as long as it's not the same day, you can shoot 2 in Maryland with a bow during the rut. You can shoot 2, and as long as it's not the same day, it's got to be separate days. That's the one thing. But you can also shoot as many does as you can handle throughout the year.
How are the out-of-state tags? Do you know if there's how that works?
Yeah, so it works fairly similar to ours. It's a little more expensive. It's, from what I've seen, it's pretty reasonable. I think you can get I want to say you can get a full license, everything you need for right around 300, 350. Last time I checked. Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Gotcha.
Seems fairly
about the same as Kentucky, basically.
Yep. Yeah, Kentucky.
Your season's basically the same just by listening to you explain it. I think ours reaches out a little bit further, but yeah, it's right there, or it might be right around the same.
Yeah, I think when I looked it up, because I looked at, I I think yours opens up just slightly earlier.
September 8th to January 15th or something, I think. I'll have to look.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for some reason I thought you guys came in September 1st.
Well, it depends. It's always the first Saturday in September, so
Gotcha.
it just
Depends.
whenever that falls, right?
So if your hunting season's open that early, you have an opportunity at velvet bucks then, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't personally, I've had a chance to shoot velvet deer, but nothing I was willing to use my tag on. It's right on that breaking period. You give it a few hours in the season, they could rub it right off. I had him on camera in the morning. He had velvet, went in after him thinking it's a deer I want a shot. Got on him in the afternoon and his velvet was gone, and you know how that makes him look a lot smaller than they do on the original trail camera.
Oh yeah. Go from like that to that.
Yeah, it's like, why did I even think about that?
I have tons on camera the same every year. I thought if they're in velvet, I will shoot that deer, but if not, probably not.
Absolutely.
That's one thing I really want to do is to shoot a velvet buck in my lifetime before I die.
Well, you got to battle the mosquitoes like he was talking. I mean, he's got the same situation basically up there. I mean, in September, you better pack, your spray with you. You got mosquitoes. It's rough, hot, nasty hunting to kill a velvet buck.
Yeah, I think the only difference that I've seen just from the outside looking in Kentucky is you guys seem to have a lot more hunting pressure than we do.
Yeah.
You guys are a little more on the map.
Yeah, we have a lot of people because, like I said, our tags are basically the same price. It's not expensive to come here and hunt from out of state, and anybody can do it. And I kind of wish we were like a draw state like some of these other ones are, that grow these big deer. But Kentucky's, I mean, there's big deer that's killed out here. So
yeah,
pick and choose your battles.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. I wish they'd make it a little harder. I mean, I like that we have so many opportunities for everyone, but at the same time, I don't want to overdo the resource. I mean, we got people from PA, Delaware, Jersey flood the state pretty good. I mean, most of the public land, the first 2 weeks, it's just PA tags because their season hadn't opened yet.
Yeah, I put in when I was at the NWTF this year, it would have been this year in February. I put in at Marshy Creek Outfitters for one of those Sitka buck tags. I don't think I won. I haven't heard. I don't even know if they've drawed yet. But
yeah, I don't think that's
something. Yeah, that's something that I'd really like to come up there and do. I think he told me like if you get like I could be wrong about this, but I think he said if it's like a big 4-pointer, like that's a deer, like that's a really good one.
That's a damn good stag. So
yeah.
I mean, a 4. Hell, I'll be completely honest. I'm not passing a spike. That thing's getting an arrow in it the second I see it. My fiance we went on a trip for her birthday. My buddy runs an outfit, and the first night she had, I mean, just a giant. I want to say it was a giant 6. It may have been a 7 on the one side. And the guy saw the picture. He's like, yeah, that would have been the record for woman archery in Maryland.
Oh, yeah. Record.
I mean, it was just an absolute stud, and he just stayed right out of range for her.
Dang.
Yeah, that one hurt.
I found out, though, that Maryland does produce some giant bucks. Like you can shoot pretty close to dang near 190. So it's not like a state. Oh my gosh.
Like that?
Anyone that's listening to an audio on this, that is 1, 2, put that
there. It is. Go. Yeah.
There
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That 12 or 11?
I'll be honest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 on one side.
Wow. I see the stickers now.
Yeah, look at those stickers.
Yeah, I mean the junk on the back. So 10 on that side. 1, 2. I won't count those. 3, 4, 5 on one side.
So that's got to be. Is it scored or no?
No, it hasn't been scored. We actually we were planting some apple trees on one of our farms, and my fiance found it this year. It's funny. She found it when I was planting trees, and this is actually the first deer I was chasing when we actually met. Our first date, we went and scouted for him, and we saw him out in a bean field a day before season. But yeah,
Wow.
That's got to be what, 150 plus?
Oh, yeah.
Honestly. I mean, there's Maryland's. It's not known for it, but there's some monsters. I mean, we're very lucky. Again, it depends on what part of Maryland. If it's managed for it, if it's not, if they have the nutrition. I mean, we're real big here about I give protein all year round, give them everything they need to grow, and it can grow some giants.
Wow.
When you
that's a
think of
nice
big-
deer.
When you think of big bucks, the first state obviously has got to come Iowa, Kansas, and Missouri. One of those ones, obviously.
Yes.
Maryland before this week wouldn't even crack my top 10.
We do that for a reason.
Yeah, you do.
I wouldn't have. Hey, your secret's out now, bud. I will be there.
I'm going out to Maryland. Everyone's going out somewhere else. I'm like, I'm going that way.
Me. I'm going north.
You're going north, and I'm going to Kentucky.
I mean, why do you think that Maryland doesn't get the reputation that I feel like it deserves?
I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. Maryland has great deer, but not great deer hunters, if that makes sense. So we can bait in our state, which I have no problem with. I'm very pro baiting. If you use it correctly, it's a great tool. But what a lot of these guys do, and what I've seen other hunters do, is they'll just go put a corn pile where they can back a truck into a edge of a woods, dump a bag out, and they'll shoot the first deer that comes in. Normally, that's not a very big buck. You're not shooting this 9 times out of 10 over a corn pile. It's not happening. There's ways to do it, but most people aren't going to put that work in and aren't dedicated enough to do it. So I don't think Maryland takes its deer at the full potential they can reach. They shoot them young. I mean, they shoot spikes, and I'm guilty of it too. There's deer on here that I shot, and I'm like, well, fuck, I should have let it go another year, and it got my heart pounding. I'm not going to apologize for it, but it's the truth. Like, it didn't hit its potential. I think that's what really holds Maryland back, and access to land is another big thing. It's hard to find a spot to hunt in Maryland. I mean, if you're going to lease a property, you're going to pay an arm and a leg. It's just nature of the beast. If you're willing to put the work in and go deep on public, though, there's some giants.
I think that's everywhere with the land, though, the leasing and stuff. I think that's everywhere because you've got a lot of these guys that have deep pockets, and they go in and they buy up tons of land everywhere, and then they turn around and they lease it for 3 days, 3 nights, 3,500, or 5 days, 6 nights, whatever you want to call it, 5,500. And that's how they pay these leases in all these different states. And it's just a toss up. I mean,
it's a rich man's sport anymore. I mean,
it is.
Like it or hate it, it's not cheap. I can think of one farm, and don't get me wrong, I would do some shady things to get on there, but it's 180 acres, and I believe they leased it for $40,000 last year.
Yeah.
For 180 acres, like, that's insane. Like, it's a beautiful property, but 40,000, you're telling me someone's salary is worth that property just for a single season, just for deer? Like, that's crazy to me.
I couldn't even fathom that type of money to hunt 180 acres. I couldn't fathom it. That's a lot.
No, but if you have that kind of money,
right,
it ain't nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
My mind doesn't work that way. I don't have 40 grand just laying around. I wish it did.
I'd
probably blow it, but
a lot of really, really nice properties in Kentucky that I don't know how much they go for, but I would say probably similar to the same amount that you're talking about. And there are people that lots of doctors, lawyers, a lot of people buy these leases and they take their kids, and that's just how they hunt. And you know, they got the money.
Yeah, I mean, if you got it and that's what you're passionate about, I can't say I wouldn't do the same.
Nah, heck
I'm
no,
just-
that's cool. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I'm just poor.
I fix ACs for a living. I ain't rolling in money.
I think nowadays, because everyone's like, well, let's focus on the 20 acres lot, because I feel like that's all that's left. Because if you don't have a deep pocket, and basically what I've looked around is the only thing that's available, if you're looking at 100 acres plus, you better have like a mill in your pocket. If not, you're looking at 20 acres or less
Yep.
to have any type of relevancy. Because it seems like a lot of these, because I think I was reading an article about 4 years ago. It's probably outdated by now, but Cabela's bought pretty much the entire county of Pike County in Indiana, I believe it's Pike County. I mean,
Yeah.
they have that ability to do that, and I think that's another reason why you see a lot of these places, hunting's dying. The numbers in hunters are going away because they just don't have the access anymore, and they don't want to go to these places where it's just crowded.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, and I totally agree with what you're saying. And another thing that adds to that, and I don't know how much public land you guys do, but public land around here's a shit show. I mean, it's an absolute shit show. There's zero respect. I mean, guys will come in and cut you off knowing you're there. I mean, again, it's going back turkeys just because it's that time of year, so it's fresh in my head. But I'm working a bird. I tell the guy, the only other guy that pulls in, I'm going into this woods. That's where I'll be. And the next thing you know, he's trying to belly crawl between me and my decoys to get to this bird. Like,
That's sad.
it's not only sad, it's disrespectful and it's scary. I mean, you got guns involved. It's easy for someone to get, and that's a big turnoff to someone. I mean, my fiance, she won't help me the public. It's so bad around here, she's scared to, and I honestly don't blame her.
It's the same way in Kentucky here. Public, especially deer season, we got Peabody, lots of other places, but Peabody's one of the biggest like coal mines that everyone can hunt. It's like a $15 permit, and you're talking 40,000 acres, and it's horrible. I won't go in there with a gun. I really won't.
Yeah.
It's kind of been bugging me now because I want to ask a question. Is if the hunting numbers are declining kind of anywhere now in general. I wonder why it's so packed in all these places that go hunting. And I feel like the main reason is because there's just less places to go hunt. So the ones that are still hunting, they have maybe 5 acres. I'm lowballing it, but just in general, you have 5 acres and you're trying to cram 50 hunters into it. So I think we keep making the point of hunting is dying, and I still strongly believe hunting is just it's a losing culture. It's a culture that's lost its value. And what were you gonna say, Don?
It's more like what he was saying with that high price on that hunting property that he was talking about. I think we both had those in both of our states. What it is, I personally think, is just say you have 150 acres and there's an insane amount of money, $40,000 a year for 150 acres. And some of these guys are trying to fit in 30 clients at $5,000 a piece on this 40 acres for, or for 40,000 for 150 acres. They're trying to bring in 40 or 50 clients a year on this at $5,000 a piece. And that's what's killing it, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I think it was said earlier, it's also a cultural issue. I think and most hunters are good people, don't get me wrong.
Right.
I fully believe if I'm in a shitty situation, I'm looking for someone with a camo hat, I can trust him or her. That's the way I believe. But you have these few bad apples that ruin it for everyone else. They're so cutthroat. they're not in it for the right reasons. Like they'll screw you over just to get to your spot, or try to lease your spot out underneath you, sneak in and steal your trail camera. I mean, all those different things kind of hurts the culture of hunting.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And now I just lost my point. Son of a bitch.
Well, on that point,
I found it. It was hunters. We are the first ones. If I just meet another hunter, I'm going to back you up and be on your side no matter what. I can trust you, like you said. But at the same time, we're so quick to judge each other and tell each other why and question them and belittle them at the same time.
Yeah.
Especially on social media now, if they're like, "Oh, why did you shoot that buck? You're an idiot. Why'd you do that?" And it's like, just back the fuck off.
Well, you know why they do that? They're too comfortable. They know they're not going to get punched in the mouth.
Oh yeah, they like to sit behind a computer and type their
Keyboard
little
warriors. Yeah, they can run their mouth. No one will do anything. I mean, there's a lot of bad. It's easy to get on the bad sides of it. There's plenty of negative, but there's also a lot of positive. The positive definitely outweighs it, and I think it's important to show, especially new people bringing them into hunting, is try to keep them away from that negative. It's still going to be there, but just trying to focus on the positive.
And I strongly believe TikTok and these shorts and reels are a big downfall to just society in general. But I think it's also hurting hunting as well. And what I mean by that is you get these new kids, they watch these 30-second videos of, oh, they shot that deer, and then they go try it and they see this quick satisfaction of them shooting these giant bucks, and they're doing it very quick. But they're not seeing the backside of it, of those months of preparation leading up to it. They just see that quick little video and they try it for maybe a couple months, and it's like, well, it didn't work for me, so I quit hunting.
Right. A lot of people don't understand. It takes, soon as deer season's over for me and probably in Maryland, we start right back, and we start right with mineral. We start with everything going from then on for the next year.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I started my business. I didn't want the process to end. I want to extend my season as much as I can, whether it's fishing, hunting, trapping. I mean, I run a trap line like crazy anymore just so I can get, it's not the same thing, but in a way I'm helping my hunting season. I'm reducing the raccoon numbers. I'm getting rid of the coyotes. I'm doing all this. I'm helping my hunting in one way or another. And I'm outside. I'm able to extend that feeling. It never ends for me. I mean, that's awesome. Why I do it.
Yeah, you'll never see a Whitetail Advantage do a short or any short reels, anything like that. I don't care if it doesn't, if that's the norm now. Like I said, I wanted the Whitetail Advantage to be it's on a different norm. We'll create a different one. So we're not going to do that. And these kids that just want to sit inside and watch it, and it's like, no, get outside, get off your phone. I don't care if you're going out there to shoot it with a bow, gun, whatever. Just get outside. And as soon as you get your first deer, no matter how long it takes, be happy about it. And once you get it, that first one underneath your belt, it's an addiction, the healthiest version of crack.
Yeah. So,
but more expensive than crack, though.
Yeah.
Just by a lot. So, I mean, I haven't priced crack out lately, so I don't know.
I'd say it's more expensive, though.
I would think so, but I still got my teeth, so.
Yeah.
So my thing with the shorts is I look at it a few ways. I do see it the way you see it. But I also see it if that's kids' attention span are short as hell right now. Yeah. I'm just as guilty of it. I'm not gonna lie about it. If you're able to hook that kid into thinking about hunting just by doing that, is that better than him not getting hooked at all by long way? That's just kind of the way I'm thinking. Is there a way to mix the two where you can get the best of both worlds? Show them the struggle, but show some short content to get them hooked as well. Is there a way to mix those two? I don't know a right or wrong answer. I just hate to put it down 100% because, like my trapping videos, for instance, people get pissed that I show an animal in a trap. And they argue that's bad for the sport, that's bad for the sport. And the way I explain is I do this because when I was watching videos and I was getting into it, because I wasn't raised trapping. I watched them, that excited me. Seeing those tight chains, seeing a coyote bounce in the trap, like that set something off inside me. That hooked me. If I didn't see that, I may not have my business right now. I may not trap to the extent. I may not have taken, I think I've taken over 250 nest predators in the last 2 seasons off and helped
Awesome.
the ecosystem. Like, so I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong, but is there a way we can challenge that and look at it from a different perspective and use it to our benefit for our community?
That's actually a good point, and that's the reason why another main reason why we'd like to do live shows because, like I said, everything's unscripted. You see the pauses and stuff like that. You don't listen to a recording. It's all just kind of flow, quote unquote, perfectly. That's not how a real podcast is really going to run. So I think I'd be willing to do reels on YouTube if I show this is the real work behind it, and this is the real struggle that you're gonna face, but you can use this as your advantage to learn hunting and be proactive, and you can have a lot of success with it as well
Absolutely.
in hunting.
When I do interviews for my daytime job, HVAC sucks. Like, it's hot or it's cold, it's uncomfortable. Like, I'm painting that picture. I'm going to show you the suck of it. Like, you're going to understand how bad this job sucks. And once you get past that, if you're in it enough to get past the suck, then I'll go into the good parts. Like, I want you to have the full picture going into it. I'm not going to bullshit anyone. Like, what we do as hunters, it's not easy. Hanging tree stands in August or June, July, it sucks. It's hot. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a skinny boy. Like, it
Miserable.
gets hot. I'm sweating.
Yeah, we're getting ready to move. We have 9 stands. Next Saturday, we're moving them all.
Oh, yeah.
We're starting way early in the morning, and it's like 70 to 75 is a high. So we're looking to bring in
It's
a
not too
lot
bad.
of water.
That's not terrible, but we're also a little farther down south, so maybe we're a little more used to it.
Well, it's like it's in May, so it's like, you know what? It's probably the best time to do it. I don't want to wait till July where it's 105 degrees outside, and I'm very allergic to poison ivy. That's why I had to cancel one show because I had to go to the hospital for it. So it's like,
Ooh.
let's get this done now instead of late July, whatever ballpark where it's like you just don't want to go outside. It's pure hell outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Josh, you mentioned what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying you get as much of that work done now, and you can just step out of that property, let it rest. I mean, that's the best thing for it. Get it done
Yeah.
early and be done with it.
Right. You mentioned you have a business, and we've talked about this off air. Can you say what it is and what you do with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the business name is Yellow Dog Outfitters. So what we do is my main goal with the business is not only to extend my season like what we just talked about, but it's to help improve everyone else's hunts. I'm not an outfitter to the sense of I'm going to take you to my manicured farms. I'm going to put you in my manicured stands. You shoot my deer, whatever. I mean, we do that to a small extent, but the main part we do is we come into these farms and the client has an issue or they want to improve something. Maybe it's bigger deer. Maybe it's more deer. Maybe it's turkeys. I got clients that they want more rabbits, like more rabbits, more fish. It doesn't matter. Whatever you're trying to get out of your property, that's what our goal is to look at it and see how can I design this to get you can get the most of it. Like, I want everyone to have whatever they want out of their property. We do projects as far as hanging tree stands, planting food plots. We do timber stand improvement. You name it, we do it. The trapping is a big part of it. That's probably selfishly my favorite part. I love running a trap line. It's exciting to me. It's a good time, and it helps those turkeys. As you can hear, I've said turkeys probably 1,000 times. If we were doing shots every time I said turkeys, we'd be on the ground right now. But like, I love hunting turkeys. It's something that as I get older and I have a very good group of friends that we turkey hunt, it just lights my fire. So if I can get you more turkeys on your property, where I can light your fire and have you have more success, so be it.
So you're basically like a miniature Don Higgins.
I yes and no.
Without killing multiple 200s.
Yeah, I'll never compare myself to him. I look very highly to Don. I think he runs a great operation.
His business is so awesome. How he travels around and sets up those farms and helps customers.
And he's just a great guy, and he's a good Christian guy. I mean, he's open about his faith. He's willing to help anyone. I mean, he's a great guy. Don has forgot more about whitetail hunting than I'll probably ever learn. The man's a genius. I mean, not to toot his own horn too much. I have no connection with him by any means, but what he's able to do with his platform and help other hunters, it's amazing to me.
Well, you're following the same kind of footsteps. You're helping other people set their properties up. You're helping things along the path, basically.
Absolutely. And the one thing that I took through different business courses and other stuff I've done, other mentors, is if you're going to start a business, you have to have a goal. That goal has to be to help something in some way, meaning you're not going to start a business and it's not about money. Like, you can't go into a business, I'm going to make $1 million. I don't give a shit about that. I just want to help people. And that helps fuel that business forward. It helps grow that more than someone that just wants it in for the money. If you have someone that's going to be a consultant for money, they're going to go broke and very disappointed in no time at all. I mean, it's not a money thing at all. I mean, I make enough to cover the expenses with it. And as it grows, I'm sure more money will come. But at the end of the day, there's a reason I still have my daytime job.
Right.
How long you been doing that now?
So I actually opened the business only about a year ago. I forget the exact date I started the business. But we've been in operation about a year, and we've doubled in size. I have one of my best friends. He helps me with the business, and it's mostly just us two. I'm the main guy. I run all the trap lines and do all that. And then he's more of the environmental side. He helps do the consultation plans and stuff as far as that.
Now, how has running that business helped with your own hunting style or improvement of knowledge of it all?
Yeah, so what it does, and one of the reasons I like chasing certain animals out of state, is I get to see. I had a post about it the other day. You see these same animals, like a whitetail deer in Kentucky is the same whitetail deer I have here. It's a whitetail deer. Like, however people want to, everyone's got the hardest state. That's a whole nother topic, but it's the same general animal. How my deer act is going to be different to an extent of your deer, but there are similar traits. A buck is going to work that trail the same way in Kentucky as it is here, Michigan, out west. It doesn't matter. He's going to stay off that main trail, and he's going to use that window as advantage. So by seeing that in all these different scenarios, seeing where these deer bed, there's common traits that you can pick from each of them. It can be totally different land, but you're going to see those similarities.
Right. My favorite, the way I've learned how to hunt the property I hunt is, I don't know if you would say a mature buck or an immature buck or whatnot, but around here I find that my mature deer, which I would consider a 3-year-old and above, are they're on the same line every year, whether it's an old scrape, a new scrape, or a community scrape. They're on the same scrapes year after year after year around here. As far as I know, and I've seen with my own eyes, they will always revisit old scrapes year after year after year if they haven't been killed or hit by a car. And that's where I generally try to set up, is around those community scrape areas, or in some areas that I know are real heavy scrape areas, because that's how I hunt in Kentucky, on draws and scrapes right off the river.
Yeah, and it's understand, why is that scrape there? They don't just make, most cases, I mean, you get a doe that runs in heat, she runs in North Thicket, they're just going to tear up everything around. But we're talking like say you're October, early November, just as the does are coming in, why are those scrapes there? There's a
right.
reason. There's
Yep.
something with the food. There's something with the topography that's causing them to scrape there.
Year
It's-
after year. It's not just a 1
Exactly.
year and then it's gone. It's all the time. So look at the areas in my general case and probably yours. Year after year, you find these community scrapes or these single scrapes, but they're there every single year, and hunt them hard. I mean, me personally.
Absolutely. A scrape is so you hear a lot of different things about scrapes, and scrapes kind of have a bad name, and some people you'll hear the people say scrapes are only nocturnal, scrapes are only this. And I agree to that to an extent. There's certain scrapes that are nocturnal. Your
Yeah,
scrape that's on the edge of the 100-acre cornfield, yeah, that's going to be nocturnal. That deer doesn't want to
absolutely.
come out in that open. Now,
Right.
the one that just off that bedding area that you can slip in with a north wind, come right up the creek, that's a scrape I'm hunting. That's the scrape you want to be at. That deer has probably been there for years. You may have trail cam pictures. Last year, November 2nd, that deer was there. Well, I'm telling you right now, from November 1st to November 5th, if that's a deer that you really want, if that's your mondo, you should probably be in that stand pending conditions.
If that deer is still alive after you've let him go or didn't get him the year before, he will be back at that scrape. Mark my words.
Absolutely. And scrapes are an easy. So we talked about land improvement with our clients, and it's easy to think food plots, water holes are another big one that can be useful. But a rope scrape can be a huge tool if used correctly. That I can throw a piece of rope over a branch, tie it off to a piece of rope, knot it on the end, send it a little bit one time, leave it, and that is done. It took me all 5 minutes to create something that'll change the structure of that trail.
Awesome.
Now, with those rope ones, where are you generally wanting to put those?
So like I personally like them inside thick cover, just off a bedding area. What I want to do is get between that, either ideally is bedding area to feed, or if you have a travel corridor, like we all know these bucks like to go to the backside of doe bedding area. If I have an area where I can play that to my advantage and put one there, I'm doing that all day. I'll hunt that scrape all day. He comes out to look for does, he hits it. I like to have them 15 to 25 yards from my stand and just crank them right off of it. I mean, they'll hit it. It's in their nature. There's something embedded in them. They feel the need.
Year after year after year after year.
Yep. But you got to be careful where you do them. Don't put them in
Yep.
the wide open. There's certain scrapes I like out in the wide open. I'm thinking of one of the clover plots I have on the backside of our farm. So I took a post, put it in the ground, drilled it, and I made a mox tree out there. Now the reason that's a little different, in my opinion, and I don't know if there's weight to this, I've seen good results from them, but you have a wide open clover field. There's no sorts of structure. There's a ton of food there, but there's no structure. It's flat as can be, nothing to it. You throw that tree in the middle of it, there's no way a buck can enter that clover plot with those does
And not go
and
to
not
it.
see that tree. Now, it may not be the most ideal to make them come there, but when they do come there, if you can position it for your stand or blind or whatever, it can give you a perfect shot. I mean, it makes that shot so much easier. It can narrow down, say, even a 10-acre field into a small little stretch, because you know they're going to come to that. At some point, that buck, in his nature, he has to check that scrape on that tree in the middle of the field.
Now, where I have a spot on the property where I'll try and paint a quick little picture of it.
Yeah.
I have a nice thick area where I know that a lot of the does will bed. And then a little back. So if you're looking north, south, east, and west, to the east of it, I have a spot where it's just a nice little open spot in the woods. And on the southeast of it, it goes up this giant hill on the backside. The does will bed on the west side of that little opening that I hunt in, and the bucks will be on the backside of that hill. So if I'm going to put a rope scrape, where would I want to position that? Is it right where I'm hunting or in a different spot? Because if you move southwest, it's just an open field of food plot.
So I like to use. It's hard. I think I understand what you're saying. So that buck at some point is gonna come off his bedding and come check out that doe bedding at some point. He's obviously not going to bed with them all the time because they don't like to bed with large numbers. You have the or the pressure of a herd pressure that's going to cause that buck. There's a reason he's up on top of that hill and not the rest of the group. What I would do is put one where you can hunt over it between the buck, the clearing, and then by the doe. I like the line of them. The longer that deer spends just checking them, the more opportunity you have for him to pass your stand. Now, I could look at that on my foot. Like, say I walk your property and look at it. I may change that slightly, but generally speaking, that's kind of what I'm thinking for that scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, they have to, well, they don't have to, but right where I put my stand is a nice travel position right in between where the bucks are, the does, and an open food plot. So they generally have to pass me to get to either one that they want. Or if the bucks are coming from the bedding, the food source, or the doe bed, they have to pass me to get to where they want to go back to bed for themselves.
Yeah. And that's an ideal situation. So if those does are, say they're coming from feeding, or they're bedding before they get to you, and that buck still has to come past you. Like I said, in most cases, a buck's not going to always bed somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm never going to say it's always going to do something, but generally speaking, that's where they're going to bed. We know that. It's not always, but that's the way it is. If that doe stops before then, you don't have to worry about her spotting you. You don't have to worry about her smelling you. Then you're just dealing with that buck. You take half the pressure out of the scenario.
Yeah.
Well, 9 times out of 10, also, whenever you're talking about bucks rutting and you're talking about scrapes, you're going to have the same. Just in my case, you're going to have the same areas every single year where you're going to have the rut really, really enforced, and you're going to have other areas where it's not really enforced. You just have to figure out where the real big rut is enforced. You have to, whether the travel corridors and how everybody's getting where they're getting, and you have to position yourself perfectly for that. It's a really good small tip for someone to learn is if you're setting 100 yards over here and you're seeing tons of activity, you obviously know I need to be over there. And that's simple to know, but you have to be in the woods to do that. So just little tips here and there to watch and learn every single year where they're coming and where they're going. And it's basically the same routine every year. If you're hunting in the same spot, you know where the deer are traveling, you know what they're doing. Set yourself up in a position to where you can kill, basically.
Absolutely. So
It's simple, but it's not simple. After you do it for years, you kind of figure it out, but
Yeah.
well, it's easy to sit here and say, like, that's why I say I never try to say a deer's always going to do this. This is always the way it is, because you're going to have that one that screws you up. I mean, you're hunting a wild animal. That deer is trying to, during the rut, he's trying to screw. The rest of the year, he's just trying to eat and not get killed.
That's
I mean,
right.
that's all there is to it. A mature buck is a totally different animal than an immature buck or a doe, no matter how you look at it.
There's a lot of times where I'll just get like this one deer named Geronimo, and I've said this before. You get pissed off sometimes. It's like, man, I feel like I'm doing everything right, and I see all these other deer, and I have no problem shooting them, but it's like, I want that one, and it just becomes a thorn in you. And that's why I said hunting is a healthy version of crack, because then you just get addicted to it. It's like, I don't care about these other deer. I just want that one because some reason I can't find them. I've seen him on trail camera, but when it comes out in the field, I'll see him hundreds yards away, and I don't have an opportunity. And it's just like, really? It just pisses you off sometimes, but draws you back in for the next day. It's like golf. You play 9 holes, and you can play like dog crap the first 8 holes, and then you can eagle the par 5 on the 9th hole. All right, I come back because I feel like I can do it great again.
That's another thing about running cameras in early season here is, I have my early season spots, which I've learned, and then I have my late season spots, because all my early season deer gather, and I know where they gather, and I've got them somewhat pinned down, but not enough to kill a deer in velvet. But I've got them pinned down a little bit. But my late season bucks, like during November, I have my stands placed for that, or I'll have my saddle or whatnot to go where I need to do that. Those are just small little little tips you have to learn on the property you're hunting where they are
Absolutely.
to be successful.
Absolutely. Finding those little niches in each property. Each property, what I've noticed is each property has those little spots.
Yep.
There's little things that make them stand out from another property. Every property is special in its own way. That's what I love working about land, is there's always something special. You may have to unlock that potential, but it's there somewhere. It can be made, or it's already there.
Yep.
Edgar, I just accidentally pulled it off. Edgar made a post on the feed here. He said, "Early season, best season. I'll die by it." What are you guys' comments on that?
Agreed. 100% agree. If you can figure a deer out in early season, get them.
Yeah. If you have a deer pattern, you should be able to kill him easily in early season. I've had deer patterned, and I've tried to do the best I could, but it never worked out for me. So I hunt extremely hard come rut. That's just me.
I've always wanted to get a deer. I mean, here in Michigan, we have 2 buck tags. So I've always wanted to get a deer on October 1st, but it's like I really don't want to at the same time. My kind of favorite part of the season where I got a lot of deer is October 18th, 19th, or 20th. And then outside of that, it's Halloween. Around that ballpark is my favorite time to, all right, something's going to be happening.
I don't completely agree with the moon phases. I don't know about you in Maryland, but I see a lot of these guys that swear by the moon and this and that. My trail camera pictures just show me different, but I could be wrong.
So my question with that, because I've heard it and I've seen a red moon where I've seen it's good, but there's also other conditions that I feel made it good. My thing with the moon, a deer can see at night. Why does that deer give a shit if it's a full moon or not a full moon?
That's what I've never understood.
I don't put too much into it.
People are like, "Oh, it was a full moon last night. The deer were running all night," and I'm like, "No, not really. The deer run all night anyway. They can see clearly at night." So
I got nocturnal pictures every night of the week. Like it don't matter.
Right. But good point. I mean,
you're right. I mean, I've always wanted that myself. So it's like how, like you see in the apps now, they're like, "Oh, it's a red moon and for this week," and it's like, all right, that's when you need to be out there hunting. What?
I don't know about you. I completely disagree. Of course, I haven't killed the biggest deer in the world neither, so I could be completely wrong. But I don't know.
I feel like it's a myth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's
I
something
feel like as hunters, we want to say something happened because of something, but sometimes there's no reason. Sometimes shit just happens. I mean, there's going to be days you wake up and you're like, fuck, I want a burger today. There's nothing that fucking told you to want a burger. That's what you want. These deer are no different. Maybe that deer wants corn that day.
Or beans or whatever. Yeah. I mean,
people are going to hate it. But deer are it's a fucking goat. Like, we can make him out to be as smart as we want or as dumb as they want. It's a fucking wild goat, in my opinion. There's going to be some that test that because I've had deer that outsmart me. They're smart fucking goats. But at the end of the day, they're trying to do 3 things. Eat, fuck, survive. Those are the only 3 things they're trying to do.
I think we make hunting into this hard thing, and we get sometimes too scientific about it,
smart
too
goat.
technical about it. Yeah, Edgar made a comment on here. He says smart goat.
Oh yeah, some of them are. Some of them aren't.
I just feel like sometimes we can get too technical and too scientific about it. And the reason I say that is because at the end of the day, it's just hunting. Go out there in the woods and learn the deer, learn your property. And deer in my area might be acting differently than 5 miles down the road. You just never know. And the reason I say that is because I remember there's been countless times where I was looking at this hunting app, like, all right, it says I have a 5% chance I'll see a deer tonight.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not going to go hunting. And next thing I know, I look at my camera a week later, there's 2 giant bucks right in front of my thing. But my gut that day told me, you know what? Don't read in too much into the app. Just go out there and trust your gut.
So
I wish I listened to my gut, not the app.
my thing with the app is I think it gives you a good starting point, but there's certain things that app can't tell you. That app can't tell you that your neighbor's hunting his tree stand on a shitty wind and he's going to blow every deer out of his property.
That's a good
That
point.
app can't tell you doe comes in heat and comes by your stand. Can't tell you there's a coyote that's about to push up a bunch of deer. There's going to be those little parts that, that app may, on perfect conditions with no outside sources, can tell you to a T. Like DeerCast, I think it's a great product. But I believe in it, but I'm not going to use it 100%. I'm still going to go out and I'm going to hunt. I just like to hunt. But there's always going to be those small things that change it that we have no way of knowing. It's unless you can tell the future, you have no way.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think people rely on it too much, and
Way too much.
It's not a bad tool. It's a good tool to use, and it's a good thing to like. All right, this how do I feel about hunting today? And all right, it says I don't have a good chance of it, but you know what? I just love hunting. Someone go out there, and you made a great point of you just don't know what's going to happen across the street from you or the neighborhood to you.
That app's really good to me, like, because when I walk in the dark, I can pull my low light up on my phone and I'm lost in the woods a mile away from my truck and I can see a clear path to where I'm walking to that blue dot to my deer stand. That's about all that app's good for me. Like, just so I know where I'm going in the pitch black.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, just with DeerCast, I know they had the shot placement. I've shot plenty of deer, but that still helps. I mean, there's small stuff. Technology's good.
Yeah, that's a Drury guys, isn't it?
Yes.
DeerCast, Drury, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it helps, but you can't rely on an app. I mean, technology as a whole, like, I'm a tech geek when it comes to hunting gear. Anything else, don't give me a computer. I don't know what I'm doing with it. But, like, I love technical gear for hunting. Like Ozonics, DeerCast, Onyx, another one that's been a big game changer. Like, there's stuff you can use that makes a big difference, but you can't rely 100% on it.
Right.
I think if you rely on it too much, then it kind of hinders you.
Yeah. Well, what's your guys' feelings on cell cams while we're on technology?
I feel solid. I like them.
I like them if they're used correctly. I mean, I don't. Yeah, actually, Edgar just made a comment here as well. He asked thoughts on cell cams and its impact on the younger generation and deer season as a whole.
I run 3 cell cams. I have 3 cell cams and I have 3 regular cams. And I do my cell cams strictly during hunting season, and I do my regular cams all year long.
Yeah. So I'm a little more on the extreme. So this is number 30.
Oh, the Moultrie? Yeah, the Moultrie.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're running real big cell cams then. Okay.
So I run them year round, and there's a few reasons for that.
I used to.
I only do that if it wasn't for. I run them on all my traps for trapping jobs just because I can. It makes more efficient for that. Then they moved to turkey season. Go through all the turkey season. We're traveling through all different states. I got them in Virginia, Jersey, whatever it may be. They're all over there. And then about the time turkey season ends, then they move to mineral sites. So they're running constantly. Like, I'll be the first to admit. But I have noticed, just because they're not on that trail camera does not mean they're not there. Just as far as deer. You can't rely on them on 1,000%. That deer will avoid that camera if it's not set correctly in a good position. I've seen bucks go by to the camera, go up to it, and circle behind it just to avoid it.
I told Brett that I've never killed one single deer that I've had on trail camera. I've never killed a deer I've had on trail camera.
Yeah,
Not
I've
one.
killed a few, but not it doesn't happen often. They're usually not on the camera. They're not in front of the camera when I shoot them most of the
Right.
time.
I use my
I
cell cameras in the areas where I don't in the bedding areas. Like I just want to see what's there and what's kind of moving around because I don't want to get trampling through there. So that's the only place I really use the cell cameras. Then I use my SD cameras on the main trails where it's like inventory type cameras, as I like to
yeah,
call them, to
same
see what's
here.
kind of
Yeah.
moving around. But I use the cell ones mainly to see how far can I push the limit with that.
Same.
And then Edgar also asked, what do you feel like the impact of those are with the youth generation?
I think it's a good. Again, this comes down to you have to use it in the right way in order to get a positive benefit of it. I mean, kids. Let's be honest, kids and even most adults are on their phone constantly. It's
Well,
just how it is. So
let's
that's
back
another
up for a
tool.
second. Edgar, what kind of a job do you have? Because these things cost a lot of money to run year round. You're
Yeah.
gonna pay a big subscription to run these things year round. So you have to figure out your budget. You have to figure out where you want to hunt. You have to figure out where you want to put these cameras, and you have to put them in the best places to get the best footage that you feel like that you can get to hunt that area. It all kind of just circles however you want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously run tons of cameras and you have your
Oh my
cameras
God.
in positions. What?
Is that 90 cell cameras or is that 90 cameras in general?
No, 30, which is still bad. I understand. But
No. Edgar made a comment here. He says he runs 90 plus.
oh,
Nine. Well, I know a guy that runs over 100 Exodus cameras right here locally to me. Yeah, he's an Exodus guy. He runs over 100 Exodus cameras a year.
That's 90 cell cameras.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so he
That's
already has it. He has it figured out then. Yep.
Yeah, he does. I mean, man.
Good job, Edgar.
phew,
I bet his walls are filled with deer.
He uses all stealth cameras.
All stealth. Stealth's a good camera. Yeah.
Stealth's a good camera.
There's a love hate relationship with stealth. I mean, they're a good camera.
their new I think it's I don't know what they call it, the 360 cell cam they just came out with.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's real cool. That's got me a little curious. I love my mold trees, and that's pretty much all we run as far as cell cams. But that 360 it's a cool concept if it works correctly.
I have 3 tactic cams and I have multiple stealth cams, regular cams.
Hey, Edgar, do you want to come on the show with us? If not, you don't have to. It's just a question if you want to. I think cell cameras can be a good and a bad thing. I've heard stories where people will have the cell cameras. Oh, he's on a plane. They'll throw the camera out there and they'll see their phone, they'll get the notification, and they'll be like, oh, a deer's right there. And they'll go sprinting out to that area to go shoot the deer.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
So
not a bow hunter.
Yeah, do you think that happens? I'm just thinking of how I run mine, and maybe there are people that do that. But do you think that really happens as much as people say it does?
I call kind of BS on that sometimes.
And maybe it does.
Like,
maybe with a rifle in the edge of a cornfield, maybe.
Yeah,
that I can see it. I'm thinking I mostly bow hunt. For me, it's like that doesn't. I also have my cameras. Mine update every 3 hours instead of immediately, so it's not as big of a thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
I think it's cool either way.
The thing I like about it is it gives you real time info. It helps you pattern that deer better. If I get a trail cam, if I look at an SD, I'm like, oh, on Tuesday this deer came through at 3:00. All right, all I know in my mind at that time is at that time it came through. I don't know the weather. I don't know what was going on around it. There's deer that I 100%, if I didn't have a cell cam, I wouldn't have killed. What I noticed is when we took parties and we duck hunted one of the ponds on the far side of the property, that deer on those days only would come into our one food plot at a certain time. If I didn't have that cell cam and I was running a regular camera, I wouldn't have known that. Like, I wouldn't have put 2 and 2 together. So what I did was I pulled my truck where I usually did when we duck hunted. I literally took hands full of rocks, threw them in the pond like I was throwing decoys out, and I snuck into that blind and I shot that deer when he came into that food plot. Like, without a cell cam, I can't say 100% that would have happened.
That's smart. That's
Edgar,
really smart.
For anyone that's listening to this down the road, Edgar made a comment of he brought it up for the merit of younger generation learning skills in the deer woods, vice just throwing a cell cam up and looking at their phone. He made another one. He said electronic magnet signals aside, since there is evidence deer feel those emitting from cam.
Yeah, and that comes down to almost like the hex technology. They definitely give off to what extent, I don't know. So my thought on that is, and I understand we don't want kids relying on technology, but kids already rely on technology. We're not going to get away from that. So why not use the tools they're already using to help them get hooked on it, to help push them towards it? That's my thought process on it.
Yeah.
If just me thinking this, if cell cameras really helped you kill more deer, I think there would be a lot more. I mean, just in Kentucky alone, I mean, look, there's not that many Boone and Crockett shot. I mean, if cell cameras really affected places so much, there would be way more 180s to 200-inch deer shot every year, and there's not.
True.
I mean, just look at the data and then look at the cell cams that are being bought and sold throughout the state, hundreds of thousands, and then you only see 100 deer over 150 being shot. So,
well, you can have all the tools in the world, but if you don't know how to use those tools,
correct,
they're pointless.
So that answers his question basically. So if you're young and you have money and you can invest in cell cameras and you can place them where you think, that doesn't necessarily mean you can kill the deer.
But I think we also made a comment here. He said cell cameras prohibited on public in Kansas now as of last year, and states are tightening it up on it.
Right.
And I think
that's true.
If I'm understanding it correctly on Edgar's side of it, it's for the youth, they're not getting outside as much to learn the woods and their woodsmanship in general, because they can just throw the cell camera up there. All right, I still got battery life on it, so they're not going out in the woods and learning as much. I feel like they kind of use it just to kind of, if I'm understanding it on his, I'm not trying to speak.
Yeah.
I see. That's what I'm seeing it as.
Yeah. Well, that's not a cell cam issue. That's, again, it comes down to a cultural issue when you think about it. In my point of view, I don't know if that's 100% it, but what I see is that's how they're thinking. Then that's a culture issue. As mentors, we need to get them away from that.
Right. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of things that can be done to help mentor new people coming into the woods and the hunting, and I think that's nice to have these conversations and these podcasts, because it brings light to some of these quote unquote issues, and we can try and figure out how we can fix it. But with that being said, I would like to ask, what is a pet peeve of yours about deer in general? I'll tell you mine. My pet peeve is seeing deer on the side of the road when I'm driving, and I don't know if they're going to bolt in front of me or just stand there. That's my biggest pet peeve with them. And when they're not cooperating during hunting season.
Mine is when they, not just when they blow, but when they blow 15 times in a row and go up on the hill and continue to blow That's mine.
That deserves a round of applause. But that's so true. I hate that.
It drives me nuts.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
Don, what about you?
I'm not real sure. I would probably have to go with the blowing too, but I don't really have that many pet peeves. I disappoint myself more than anything because I'm so hard on myself in the deer woods, and I just feel like if I don't set up in the right spot and I see these deer walking right out of range or a missed opportunity, I just feel like I'm let down, and I have pet peeves like that, just trying to get better and better and better at stuff.
Edgar, his was when they walk to the neighbors and he shoots them.
Yeah, that's right out of sight.
Yep.
Yep.
Been there, done that.
It's
I
a
remember.
big
What was that,
deal.
Don?
Oh, I was just saying that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember.
it hurts.
So I hunt on my neighbor's property. They gave me permission to do it. I remember this one time was 2 years ago. I had this deer, a giant 10-pointer. He stuck. I'm hunting the edge of a food plot, and I left this one like tree branch in front of me to kind of block my silhouette. So I have 2 shooting lanes on the side of me. I had watched him come around. Now he's coming right at me. I have him at full draw at 35 yards. Take a step left or right, you're dead. It's maybe 6:30. I still have an hour left. It's daylight, right? The neighbors, the owners of the property, I love them, but they drove their UTV from the back of the woods up to the main house, and they scare the does away, thus creating him to book it dead north and out of my way.
Yep.
So I texted them and I said, "Hey, did you guys get a deer?" They said, "No, we just got tired of hunting, so we came in." So I said, "I love you, but I had this giant bucket, dead shot, and you guys just scared him away for me." They felt bad, but I was like, son of a gun.
Yeah. I had one of the properties I used to manage. It was me and 3 other guys. I'm sitting in the stand. Deer finally start piling up. I see the one that I've been chasing come up the side of the hill, and then they all take off running. What the fuck was that? And then I see a golf cart come driving through the woods. The 2 other guys hunting the property sitting there. They got the gun on the golf cart. They come around. They pull around by my stand. I throw my hands up. They start doing victory circles in front of me and then pull away.
What?
Oh, yeah. I talked to them after. They're like, "Oh, we never even saw you." I'm like, "Why were you Oh, we were looking for deer." I'm like, they're not just going to sit there while you drive your golf cart around. "Oh, we see them all the time doing that. They always run by us." Yeah, run. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, guys, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I appreciate you guys coming on the show. Don, did you have any final questions for Josh?
No, just send me your contact information. I'd like to come to Maine and hunt.
Absolutely. You need to come chase some sika. You think you both would enjoy that a good bit. I'm not an expert on them by any means, but I know you hear that bugle coming through that frag. Whew, there's nothing like it.
That's what I heard. Yep.
Josh, was there a story? Edgar says sika. Was there a story or a topic that you didn't get to share or that we didn't get to cover tonight that you wanted to bring up?
Just a story that sticks out. We went over a little bit. The just because it's the most fresh in my head was the old 6-pointer I shot this year.
Mhm.
So I wanted to tell you guys that story a little bit because it's the only exciting gun hunting story I have.
Okay.
So we me and my buddy, we're sitting, we call it the killing log because we go in there. It's just a big funnel between bedding and feed. Like they all have to come by if they come by. It's a great spot. It's the only spot I like to gun hunt. So we're sitting there. I'm hunting with a handgun this year. I've never killed a deer with a handgun. I ended up killing a doe right before this hunt, but I just decided I wanted to shoot a buck with my handgun. Like, that's all I wanted to do. 41 mag, little red dot on the top. Like I wanted to kill him off the ground. That's how I wanted to do it. So anyway, we had a doe come in, another doe come in, finally another doe come in. I'm very big on shooting does, so they were a little out of range for the handgun, so I grabbed the rifle, I pull up, boom, she runs in the thicket. Foggy as can be, you can't see more than 150 yards. She goes back in the thicket. I'm like, all right, whatever. So we're hunting. It's warm as can be. I mean, it's middle of November and it's probably 70 degrees out. I looked at my buddy. I said, look, I'm just going to go down. I'm going to take the handgun. I'm going to go look for, find her, and I'll call you down. I said, I'm just going to take the handgun. You sit here with the rifle. If a doe comes out, pop her. We got to get rid of some does. So I walk down there. I get through. It's just an overgrown thicket in a marsh she ran into. It's real hard to get through. I'm going through it, cussing because I'm covered up in mud, head to toe, going all around. And my work phone goes off. I always got to carry my work phone. I don't think anything of it. I take the call. I'm talking just like we're talking now to one of my dispatchers. I get everything moving. I hang up, put my phone away, keep walking. I come to this one little opening, foggy, and the sun just kind of peeks through the little bit of trees and shines on this one opening. I look up and I see a deer. Don't know who it is. I kind of froze. You know, you see a deer, you just get nervous, freeze up. And all of a sudden, he took his head up. I don't know if he was drinking water or eating. He sticks his head up, and I can see it's just a big mainframe 6. There's no denying this deer. I mean, big 6s are not that common, at least not where I am. And he turns his head. I mean, he's got mass like Coke cans the whole way up. I was like, holy shit. Like, I know this deer. I've chased this deer. I think it was 5 or 6 years I chased this deer. I've only seen him on the hoof once across the ravine. Like, he was a mature deer. He had a very small core area, and I just happened to be standing right in the middle of it. I kind of froze. I looked at the gun, I looked at him, and I cocked back the hammer, turned on the red dot, put it through. Boom! Dropped him like a sack of potatoes. It'd be easy to say that's how the story ended, but that is not at all how the story ended. So I'm, as I said, I kind of black out after the shot. I get very emotional, like, especially a deer that I've been chasing or a hunt that I've worked hard for. Like, I just lose it. I'll be the first to admit it. I can sit here and try to be manly. I'm in tears. Like, I'm losing my shit. I'm excited as be. My buddy up on top of the hill can hear me. He has no idea what's going on. I'm hooting and hollering. I killed him. I called my fiance. I walk over him, and he's laying there, just beautiful deer. And I'm talking to her, and he's breathing still. I dropped him, but he's still breathing. I'm telling her, I'm like, I think I should put another one in him. She's like, yeah, you definitely should. Our buddy just lost a giant he was after the day before. I'm like, all right. I had my bonnet harness. I stick my phone in the harness. I cock back the hammer. I go to pull up the handgun on him. That deer jumps up and runs straight at me.
Oh, shit.
So that's when shit got western. That gun can hold 6 bullets. I've already shot 1. There's 5 more. From point blank to 10 yards away, I put 4 more in him. And he died right there, and he was done. But that deer was, I mean, you can't tell, obviously, how far the phone is. He's from me to the phone right now. The first shot. I will not say I was aiming because I wasn't. It was more of self-defense. Put a bullet in him. He died, and now he's at the taxidermist.
Nice.
Oh, man.
But, yeah, so if you look on any of my social media, you see a deer with a handgun, big 6. That's the one that tried to kill me. But no, I love that story. I mean, just for the fact that, I mean, it doesn't really go over the years and years we put in chasing that deer before, but for it to all go down like that, there was nothing like it. I wouldn't trade that hunt for anything.
Right.
Nice.
It's kind of like, I'm sure at the end of it, though, you're kind of a little sad that the storybook ended on that deer.
100%. It was, I find myself back to the cell cams. I'm just checking my camera every day, and I got used to, like, I can't wait to get him on camera. Like, I can't wait to see him on camera. It's like, crap, he's dead. Like, if he's on camera, that farm is a little more haunted than I thought it was. But yeah, it's
Edgar commented,
weird.
said-
It's weird to kill something.
Yeah. Edgar commented,
I
said,
can't
geez, is that Jason Bourne?
No, I was way too scared to be Jason Bourne. No, I was puckered up a little bit. I'm not going to
I
deny.
don't blame you.
Yeah, I mean, you got a 5-6-year-old deer running at you. I mean, just heavy as crap. And of course, he died in the deepest bottom. But I mean, that's as close as we're getting to a bear charge in my part of Maryland.
Oh yeah.
How did you say what he scored at, or do you not know yet?
I honestly didn't score him. I'm the worst about scoring deer. Like, it doesn't matter to me, to be completely honest. I'm more of an age guy.
Yeah.
It's just, maybe if I get one that I think is going to break 200, I'll do it. But until then, it just don't really do a whole lot for me. I like big deer, don't get me wrong, but I don't get caught up too much on it. I'll probably end up getting them scored now that the question came up, because I'm curious. I mean, for a 6-pointer, I know he's a monster.
I was just kind of curious. That way, if anyone's like listening to this, they have like a picture idea of like how big you're referring to.
I gotcha. I mean, he definitely, from what my buddy, like I said, I have not personally measured deer. I know he broke, from what everyone said, he broke 130. And for a 6-point, I mean, that's saying something to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I remember when I shot my deer fish hook, it was a sad moment. It was like pure joy and sad all in the same time. Because it's like, man, I was chasing this deer for 2 years now, and it's finally over.
Yeah. You wish you could put the breath back into him just to chase him again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a weird feeling.
Right? But man, that's why I love hunting. And then you start a new chapter, a new book with a new deer.
Yep.
He says, Edgar made a comment. He said, ain't no meat like doe meat.
Oh, I'm a firm believer in that. I'll kill does all season long. I'm the only person I know that I think it was November 3rd last year, I killed, I think it was 3 does.
Yeah.
I just couldn't help myself.
I'll shoot a doe, but I'm going to say this though, and this is the truth. I haven't had an opportunity to shoot. I've shot one doe, never found her. The doe here in Michigan are like freaking Einsteins, man. I don't know what it is. I've tried going after them. Don't get me wrong. I made a goal. It's like, I'm not going to shoot a buck for the first 2 weeks, and I'm going after these does. And I just come up empty handed. I don't have one tag on a doe my entire 18 years of hunting, if that says anything.
No kidding. How many doe tags are you guys allowed? Like, are there a lot of does, or just the deer numbers? I know they're lower probably than what I'm used to, but
there's a lot of deer here, and it's not like we don't have does. So you can get 1 buck tag, and you can use 2 buck tags, and you can use the one has to have 4 points on one side, and the other one you can shoot whatever. And you can use the buck tag on a doe tag as well. And when you see a doe out here in Michigan, like I said, they're Einsteins. They just are like constantly like looking up in the trees, and that's just me. People can shoot them. People have been shooting them all their entire lives here in Michigan. Just for me, I just haven't had luck with it. So it's like a monkey on my back.
That's the first time I've ever heard that. I've heard a lot of hunting stories. That's definitely a first. You got to be you're in a category of your own on that.
I know. I don't know if it's a good category or a bad category.
Hey, Yellow Dog Outfitters, we usually don't do guided hunts, but I can put you on the doe of a lifetime.
I'll need that because I want to just get that. I want to say I shot a doe.
You got to be the best client I've ever seen.
Oh, well, guys, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Don, thanks for coming on as well. Josh, I do appreciate it again. Real quick, Don, for anyone that wants to get in contact with you, how can they do that?
Just Facebook or Instagram, Don Stevens. That's the only name I go by. No business or anything.
Josh, how about you?
So everything on social media, you can find me at Yellow Dog Outfitters on any platform.
Yellow Dog Outfitters.
Yep.
All right, I'll make sure to put that in. Do you have a website?
Yep. www.yellowdogsoutfitters.com.
All right, I'll make sure to put those in the description when this episode gets released to our podcast platform as well. Again, guys, thank you for taking time out of your day to come on the show. I greatly appreciate it. Awesome conversation tonight. I'll let you guys go and have a good rest of your night. How about that, guys?
I appreciate it.
Later.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you.
Take it
See
easy,
y'all.
bro.
Oh, man, what a fun conversation tonight was. Way to end the week. Edgar, thanks for being on the show, and thanks for watching tonight's show. I had a lot more questions that you kind of came up with there at the end. Again, this is an open door show, so if anyone ever wants to come on the show, everyone's welcome. Don sent me a text saying, hey, can I come on the show tonight? I said, heck yeah, let me ask the guest. He said, sure, so we had him on the show. I'll never tell anyone no, they can't come on the show. But that being said, it's a long night, long day. Way to close out Maryland week. It was a fun week, man. I've learned a lot about Maryland, and I think I've said this multiple times during the week, and I said to Edgar as well. It's a sleeper state, and I feel like I just kind of opened up the door to Pandora's box, so everyone's going to be going down to Maryland now. I kind of wish I didn't, because I kind of want that to be my honey hole now that I go out there, but that is what it is. Make sure you stay up to us on our social media platforms. We're constantly changing things. Like I said before, we do have some big news coming up. I know I've said this before, but we are just like right there, and soon we'll make that announcement of the deal that the contracts that we made. Like I said, we are a part of the pro staff on Gilly Puck. Make sure to go to their website, and you can use the code GP10, GP10, and get a 10% discount on their stuff. Make sure you go ahead and check out MAGNUS BROADHEADS as well. Awesome product. I'll put my name on that every time of the week. I do say if you can go to our website, we do announce who we have coming up for that week. Next week, I don't even remember the week we're covering next week. But anyways, if it says ask the audience, that's us also saying we don't have official guest lineup for that date. So we leave it up to you guys as well. If you want to come on as a guest, you don't have to be from that state that we're covering. You can be from anywhere. But I do also say if you can put your core in the slot machine and help share the show, I'd very much appreciate it. Get us one new friend here. And with that being said, I'd just like to say thank you, everyone, for the support on the show. It greatly means a lot to us here on the team. And let's close out the night. We'll see you guys next week, the Whitetail Advantage Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.